Hello there folks, welcome back to the channel and welcome back for the What If series. Right here, I'll be talking about artists that missed potential opportunities in their careers. For this next vid, for the very first time, I'll be talking about one of the most legendary bands of all time. And I am talking about the Rolling Stones. Huh? The Rolling Stones? Why am I talking about the Rolling Stones? Have they accomplished over the last couple of years? Well, they did. They had accomplished so much in their lifetime. Because I'd recently became a fan of their discography. I know a few of their hits, because most of the songs that I know was performed by different artists. But also, there's another reason I got into the Rolling Stones, because I am very new to their music, because of their new album, and it will be coming out, well, as of this video comes out, Foreign Tongues is out. But as I'm recording right now, it's a few days before the album drops. But as we celebrate their new album, Foreign Tongues, let's take a look at a tour that never happened somewhere in the 1980s. As it calls in between of the American Tour 1982, aka the Tattoo You Tour, with the Steel Wheels. What's in the middle? Nothing. But that nothing becomes a tour that never came to fruition. And that tour, I called it the Dirty Undercover Tour. Anyways, where did the idea came from? Well, it was inspired by watching a documentary series called Just for the Record, looking at Rolling Stones' history between from the 60s to 2000, and led me with brand new ideas of using two albums into one ideal. I did that with the Queen tour idea for Innuendo Across the Miracle. So I said, why not we can do that for the Rolling Stones? So with that Rolling Stones idea, a combination of Undercover and Dirty Work into one massive world tour. So in this timeline, this tour would run across 3 years, between from 1986 to 1988, with 4 different legs. And I called those the Harlem Shuffle Tour, the Dirty Work Tour, Undercover Tour, and then the demand leg, I call it the Dirty Undercover Demand leg. So let's get to the story of the Dirty Undercover Tour. So when Dirty Work was released on March 24th, 1986, a few people expected to mark the beginning of the most ambitious periods in the Rolling Stones' history. When the album was released, it was not very successful as it was expected by the record company. So for months, newspapers and music magazines had focused less on the music itself and more on the increasingly public tensions with the band. Stories of disagreements between Mick Jagger and Keith Richards appeared almost weekly, never seeing each other. And of course, there were some creative differences in the past between from Undercover and Dirty Work. And as what Keith calls it, he called it World War III. So journalists expected about solo careers, creative differences, and the possibility that the Rolling Stones might be reaching on its end after more than 2 decades. To more obviously, Dirty Work sounded like a troubled album made by a troubled band. Some critics praised its aggressiveness and energy, while other viewers were thinking of evidence that the group best years were behind them. And yet even harsh reviews acknowledge one thing: the band still sounded unmistakably like the Rolling Stones. The world of rock music in 1986 looked very different from the world the Stones had conquered in the 60s and 70s. MTV dominated the industry. Younger artists ruled the charts, and concert productions got larger, grower, and more spectacle than ever. Many people wondered if a band had already spent over 20 years at the top could still compete in this new era. Well, the question wasn't just whether the Stones could make another successful album. It was whether they could still remain one of the biggest bands in the world. As spring turned into summer, another question emerged from the record company saying, would there be a tour? And the question is that the answer initially appeared to be no. The band's previous studio album, Undercover, had never received an extensive world tour many fans expected. Because we know in reality Mick Jagger wants to focus on his solo career, it seems he won't focus on the band. Also, he had enough as well at the same time during the period of 84 to 86. 2 months after the album released, the record company were in a meeting with the fellas, but there's one problem. The frontman, Mick Jagger, is nowhere to be seen. It was only Keith Richards, Charlie Watts, Bill Wyman, and Ronnie Wood. The execs tell them that if they're interested for Dirty Work to get the album on tour. It seems they were, but they needed Mick's input. The execs asked Mick the same question, but he refused to let Rolling Stones on tour. However, weeks goes by before discussing to resume it. Eventually, the executives suggested that the rest of the band began prepping the tour behind the scenes, and they let Mick to do his own thing. But by late May of 86, Mick contacted them about the tour. He would try it. However, throughout the tour, he would help out the rehearsals and sets, but he won't be involved in production and staging that the guys want. The return of the Stones will be at a press conference on June 3rd, 1986. A huge press conference for this tour. And this will be the first time in quite a while that all 5 members appeared together in public. However, the tension continues between Mick and Keith was obvious. The two sat on opposite sides of the stage and barely acknowledged one of them during the event. The band officially announced their upcoming world tour. Originally, it was going to be called the Dirty Work Cover Tour. But combining the names of both albums, Dirty Work and Undercover. But after a printing error appeared on the promotional material, it named Dirty Undercover quickly caught on. And surprisingly, everyone liked it. The name got stuck, and of course, tickets went on sale a few days later on June 19th, 1986, with the tour will be begun in the fall of that year. So, throughout the tour, the fellas will be focusing on songs from the Undercover and the Dirty Work albums, and let songs breathe on their own proper debuts during it. The Stones were prepping for what would become one of the most expensive tours in their career. Rehearsals began in LA during the summer of 86. The atmosphere was uncertain at first. Years of disagreements had left scars. Reporters urgently searched for signs of conflict, and every rumor seemed to find its way into the press. Yet inside the rehearsal hall, something unexpected happened. Throughout the rehearsals, they started to grow and getting their flow back. But in conversation, it's still not intact yet. While the final rehearsals are underway, the news headliners saying, "Will the Rolling Stones' new tour be a disaster?" Well, they want to prove them wrong. Even though some of the news articles were shit, but they want to prove them wrong. After those news articles were coming out at that time, after that, the sold-out stadiums were sold out completely. The story surrounding the Rolling Stones had completely changed. People were no longer asking if the Rolling Stones would be finishing up. Now, they were wondering if they were witnessing one of the greatest comebacks in rock history. And to be honest, it will be one of the greatest comebacks in music history of touring. And led to opening night. Every show in each country and city sold out. The Stones will be fully back. They would rock the show for the Dirty Undercover World Tour. Now, let's move on to the tour dates and setlist for the tour. So let's start off with the first leg of the tour, as I called it, the Harlem Shuffle Tour, aka the Harlem in the USA and Canada. We kick off in Toronto on September 4th and 5th, then Ottawa on September 8th, then Montreal September 11th and 12th, Boston September 18th, New York September 23rd, 25th, 27th, and 28th, St. Louis October 2nd and 3rd, Houston October 7th and 8th, Dallas October 12th and 13th, Tampa October 16th, Orlando October 17th, Atlanta October 21st, Miami October 25th, 26th, and 28th, Los Angeles November 13th, 15th, 16th, and 18th, Oakland November 22nd, and finally in Las Vegas November 26th, 28th, 30th, and December 1st. Then we move on to the second leg of the tour, and I called it the Dirty Work leg, aka Get Dirty in Europe and South America. So we kick off in the year of 1987 in Rio on May 30th and 31st, then Buenos Aires June 3rd and 5th, then Sao Paulo June 9th and 10th, Mexico June 13th, then Lisbon August 28th and 29th, Manchester September 2nd, 3rd and 5th, then London September 11th, 12th and 15th, Leeds September 19th, Glasgow September 22nd and 23rd, Paris September 26th and 28th, Amsterdam October 2nd and 4th, Copenhagen October 7th and 8th, Oslo October 11th and 12th, Stockholm October 15th, 17th and 19th, then Hamburg October 23rd, and finally Bremen October 26th and 27th. Then we move on to the year of 1988, as I called it, the Undercover Tour, aka Undercover in the land down under, Asia, and New Zealand, and Hawaii, or Honolulu. So we kick off in Tokyo, March 4th, 6th, and 7th, then Osaka, March 10th and 11th, Seoul, March 14th, Hong Kong, March 17th, Beijing, March 20th, Singapore, March 24th, Hawaii, March 31st and April 1st, then Sydney, April 18th, 19th, and 22nd, then Melbourne, April 26th, 28th, and 29th, then Adelaide, May 3rd and 4th, Perth, May 7th and 9th, then Auckland, May 14th, 16th, and 17th, then finally in Wellington, May 20th and 21st. Then we move on to the final leg of the tour, as will be called the Dirty Undercover Demand leg. So we kick off at Kansas City on July 10th, then Denver, July 13th, then Phoenix, July 16th, Pittsburgh, July 19th, then Chicago, July 23rd, 24th, and 25th, then San Antonio, July 31st, then San Diego, August 3rd, then Munich, August 18th and 19th, then Rome, August 23rd and 24th, Dublin, August 27th, Madrid, August 30th and 31st, Prague, September 5th, Budapest, September 9th, Berlin, September 12th, Barcelona, September 15th and 16th, Bucharest, September 20th, Bangkok, October 5th and 6th, Yokohama, October 10th, 11th and 13th, Shanghai, October 16th, Manila, October 19th and 20th, Taipei, October 23rd, Ho Chi Minh City, October 26th, Canberra, November 10th and 12th, Newcastle, November 16th, 17th and 19th, Wollongong, November 23rd and 24th, Cairns, November 27th, Brisbane, December 1st, 2nd and 4th, Darwin, December 7th, Lanston, December 10th, 12th and 13th, and finally in Santiago, December 20th. Now we move on to the set list, and the set list would be unusual set for the Rolling Stones, so here's what I got. So we kicked off with Undercover of the Night, Start Me Up, One Hit to the Body, She Was Hot, Harlem Shuffle, Tumbling Dice, Too Much Blood, Beast of Burden, Wild Horses, Dirty Work, Slave, Fight, Had It With You, Honky Tonky Woman, Brown Sugar, Jumping Jack Flash, A Symphony for the Devil, It's Only Rock and Roll, and Satisfaction. By the time the tour ended, the fellas are working hard on their upcoming new tour in search of their next chapter as the Rolling Stones, as we set for the Steel Wheels. That is all for the What If series. Hope you all enjoyed. Comment, like, and subscribe. If y'all haven't subscribed to me yet, please do so. You'll miss out any content I'll be putting out. And hit the notification bell if y'all haven't done it yet. Take care of yourselves, and see y'all next time.